So a lot of us have tried journaling, right? But what if I told you there's a specific blueprint, one used by the world's top performers, from athletes to neuroscientists, that can turn a simple diary into an absolute powerhouse for change? Well, today we're breaking down that exact system. Does this sound familiar? You grab a journal, you pour out your hopes, your goals, your frustrations, and then nothing really changes. It can start to feel kind of like wishful thinking, just a habit without any real direction or results. It's a super common frustration, but here's the thing. It's not journaling that's broken, it's how we're doing it. And the ideas we're going to talk about today aren't just one person's opinion. Nope. They're the patterns that emerge from interviews with 20 absolute elite performers. We're talking neuroscientists, Olympic athletes, company founders, behavioral scientists. And even though they're from totally different worlds, they all landed on a remarkably similar blueprint for journaling that just flat out works. So, where does this powerful method even begin? Well, it's not with what you want to get, but with a much deeper question. Who are you becoming? The very first and, honestly, the most crucial part of this whole thing is that effective journaling always starts with your identity. Okay, so check this out. This is the course shift right here. Standard journaling is all about external goals, like I want to make 200K a month. But high-performance journaling, it flips that and focuses on your internal identity. The phrase, I am becoming the kind of person who manages money intelligently, that's not a wish, it's a statement about a process. It takes the focus off some far-off result and puts it right on the person you're building, day in and day out. And this whole identity thing is so powerful because, as behavioral scientists love to point out, every single thing you do is like a vote for the kind of person you see yourself as. Your journal, that becomes your rehearsal space. It's where you get to practice being that person on the page, casting those first few votes for your new identity before you even take action in the real world. And the language you use when you're rehearsing, it matters a lot. Just look at the difference here. I hope things improve. That's totally passive. It puts all the control outside of you. But I am building. Now that's active. That's the language of ownership, of being in charge. It's a subtle switch, but it has this massive impact on your mindset. It literally puts you in the driver's seat of your own life. Journaling also works like a diagnostic tool. Think of it like an X-ray for your subconscious mind, because it exposes the hidden conflicts that are holding you back. You might be writing about how much you want to be wealthy, but then you find yourself jotting down a thought like, rich people are greedy. See the conflict? Until you drag that contradiction out into the open and deal with it, you're always going to be stuck. Journaling makes the invisible visible. Okay, so we've got the foundation down. It's all about identity. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual blueprint, and see how this all builds into a daily practice. We're shifting from the why to the specific how that these top performers are using to structure everything. This next line was something that every single person they interviewed, and I mean every single one, agreed on. Vagueness is the absolute enemy of getting results. If your journal is full of fuzzy stuff like, I want to be successful, you're just setting yourself up for fuzzy, unclear outcomes. So clarity, that's where it all has to start. So how do they get that crystal clear focus? Well, they use this simple three-part process. First, define the exact outcome. What does it actually look like? Second, define the metrics. How will you know for sure that you've hit it? And third, and this is the real game changer, define the emotional state. How is it actually going to feel when you achieve it? This simple formula turns a vague wish into a concrete, measurable target. And that third step brings us to this incredible concept, emotional rehearsal. This is not just some intellectual exercise. It's about simulating what success feels like so vividly that your nervous system starts to think it's a familiar experience. In fact, one Olympic coach called it slow motion visualization. By writing about how success feels in your body, you start to strip away the fear and anxiety of the unknown, which makes it so much easier to actually go out and do the thing. High performers are also masters at connecting their small daily actions to a much bigger picture. They're basically operating on 3 different timelines at once. They've got the 5 to 10-year vision that gives them direction. They've got the annual plan that creates structure and milestones. And then they've got the daily journaling, which builds a momentum to get there. Because think about it. Without the daily work, the vision is just a fantasy. And without the long-term vision, the daily work is just busy work. Here's another key part of the method, gratitude. But there's a catch. It has to be specific. Saying I'm grateful for my family is nice, sure, but it's kind of generic. It has a low emotional charge. Now compare that to something with real sensory detail, like I'm grateful for the way my husband looked at me this morning when he laughed. See the difference? That specificity creates a really high emotional intensity, which actually strengthens how your brain encodes memories and helps rewire your baseline mood. It's powerful stuff. So we have our identity and we have our method. Now for the final piece of the puzzle, the engine. How do you fuel this whole system and build a kind of unstoppable momentum that creates real, lasting change? The answer might actually surprise you. It's all about consistency, not intensity. We are talking just 5 to 15 minutes a day. That's it. You don't have to write a novel every morning. It's the daily repetition, that consistent practice, that actually forges new pathways in your brain and makes this new way of thinking become your automatic default. Now, this was one of the most fascinating things to come out of the research. The highest performers don't keep wish journals. They keep what are called proof journals. Every single day, they are actively looking for and logging evidence, no matter how tiny, that proves they are becoming the person they intend to be. This is a deliberate strategy to fight back against our brain's natural tendency to focus on the negative. So the difference here is absolutely crucial. A wish journal focuses on fantasy, which can actually make you less likely to act. But a proof journal, by tracking real, hard evidence of your growth, it systematically builds your confidence. And it's that confidence that fuels more action, which creates this amazing positive feedback loop. And this part is non-negotiable. The journal is not the finish line. It is the ignition switch. Every single high performer was adamant about this. Each journal entry has to end with a clear plan of action. Specifically, they commit to 3 things: 1 uncomfortable action, 1 behavior that aligns with their new identity, and 1 little micro risk. This is what connects the insight from the page to execution in the real world. So, after looking at the foundation, the blueprint, and the engine, what does this all really boil down to? Well, the entire system can be synthesized into one simple but incredibly powerful formula. Here it is. This is the whole system in a nutshell. Journaling really works when it accomplishes these 3 things all at once. First, it clarifies your identity. Who are you becoming? Second, it regulates your emotion. You rehearse how success feels. And third, it directs your behavior. What are you going to do right now? If you're missing any one of these 3, your results are going to be weak. But when all 3 line up, that's when the magic happens. So that's the blueprint. It's what transforms journaling from just a passive, reflective habit into an active driver of real change. So the only question left is the one that every high performer ends their session with. What's the one action your journal is going to ignite for you today?